On this episode, it's time to do some cosmetic improvements, both outside and inside the car, as well as our final tuning on this episode of IROC Rehab. Right. So on the surface, it may seem like our 1987 IROC is complete because from the looks of it, this baby is pretty much together. But I'm here to tell you, oh no, we are not there yet. In fact, this is where the real work comes in. While the mechanical components require heavy lifting, it's dialing in the wiring, the electronics, and the fuel system, and then troubleshooting it all to make sure it functions properly. Because ultimately, that's the stuff that gets us to the finish line. Dude, we ready to go?
Yeah, this is basically time to try this thing. I mean, there's a lot left to do to finish the car, but it's time to try to light this thing off.
Like now?
Like now. I put in a few bits of information in this Bluetooth deal, and I think we're ready to try to make some noise.
Dude, let's do it. That's the same thing we used on the Suburban. So let's fire, man. I'm ready. Okay, now I'm excited.
Right.
Now I'm excited.
Yeah, it's time. Let's go. All right, Junior, give it a shot.
Here we go. Yes. Yeah. Right. Ah, that's rad. You guys crawl. That's awesome. Full credit goes to the guys for getting the engine install completed. But when it comes to dialing it in, Edelbrock's ProFlow 4 system offers a tunability factor that even those with just mild experience will understand. So, after a few tweaks to the fuel pressure and timing, we were pretty much good to go. Once everything under the hood was dialed in, it was time to turn our focus to the visuals. We concentrated on key dress-up items that provided high visual impact and that could be done by any enthusiast either all at once or over time. A set of gold-accented 17 by 9-inch reproduction IROC wheels with new BFG Comp 2 all-season rubber set the stage. By increasing to a 17-inch wheel, we not only opened up our tire selection, but it also helped to give the IROC, when combined with the new and lower suspension setup, a more aggressive look and feel. So one of the things we're going to replace now, I should say Junior's going to replace now, are these great new marker lights from Classic Industries. Now if you look down, you'll see that the old marker lights are really faded. And honestly, for us, it's a safety issue as well as a look issue. So this is a really nice piece that really enhanced the look of the Camaro. Marker lights aside, Classic Industries is the place to go when searching for those hard-to-find bits. From small items like replacement window and mirror switches to larger, big impact pieces like a new center console, dash bezel, and a shifter plate. These guys have items for the IROC that we never knew existed. Ready? Pro tip. When dealing with 35-year-old GM plastics, take your time. Over time, these plastics have become brittle and are prone to cracking and breaking, so be patient. Use the right disassembly tools and your issues will be minimal. With the car now tuned properly, the next step was to do an old school alignment using a string and a straight edge so we could get the IROC to a local shop for a proper wheel alignment, which we did. However, upon its return, we were introduced to a gentleman who, well, let's just say, couldn't be made up.
Okay, so now that the IROC is running and driving well with the new engine and transmission, it's time to make this thing look a little better. Fortunately, we've got Rod Kraft with us today from Griots Garage to help us get the old paint job looking better. Now, Rob, you've been here before. You helped us with our Chevelle years ago, and you're pretty talented at bringing old paint jobs back around. What do you think we need to do with this one?
What we're working on today is this kind of faded patina that's on top, which is going to be a bit of a challenge, but from this section down, we've got some what looks like pretty stable paint. And I think the history of this is it has been repainted at some time, but from just looking at it and doing a quick evaluation, it looks pretty good. I think our goal today is to go ahead and I think there's some vinyl graphics down here that are original that we're going to try to pull off.
Yeah,
right?
We want to get the old striping off. It's deteriorating, and we've got some ideas for new stuff we want to do. So we're hoping that you can work some magic and get that stuff off of there.
Right.
It's kind of baked on.
Yeah. And those can be a little tricky, but we're going to give it our best effort. We know that once those are gone, I think you guys have a plan for what's going to happen from the belt line down, right?
We do, yeah. We've got a kind of a contingency to take care of the damaged paint and make the car look good, but we're hoping the rest of the car will come around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the overall paint now, and when I looked at it earlier, it looks pretty stable, but I brought my paint gauge, we brought all the necessary tools, so our goal is to put as much life back into this paint as we can.
All right, well, let's get started.
All right, sounds great. So far, so good. Nice and pliable. So now that we got all the old vinyl off, which was, actually relatively easy, but my main goal was just to get rid of the adhesive residue that was on here. And so we're gonna work our way up on the rest of those letters and knock it all out. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to just doing a quick clay process on this B-pillar, I guess you'd call it. And the goal is, even though the car has been washed already to remove any loose contaminants, my goal is to, I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear this, but we've got some contaminants that are bonded to the paint. And my goal is to get those off first before we do our 50-50 shot to show a before and after when we're doing our polish work here. So we're gonna use our Brilliant Finish synthetic clay, and basically this is a synthetic type of clay surface. It's a polymerized rubber. And so we're going to use our Speed Shine, and that's our lubricant. And that goal is to get enough lubricant on here so when we work our clay pad across the surface, just nice and slow, very easy. I'll even go opposite direction. It's not how hard you press, it's how many passes you make. So I'll make about 4, 5 multi-directional passes. And we're going to go ahead and wipe that off. Now our finish should be nice and smooth and free of any bonding contaminants, which will not be in the way of doing our polish work. We've always talked about using the least aggressive method first. So my goal is to go ahead and start with one of our two, what we might want to call a compound. And this is called correcting cream. We have one that's a little bit more aggressive than this. That's going to be my starting point to go ahead and tackle those spiderweb and cobweb scratches. So I'm going to prime my pad, and priming simply means to go ahead and apply your product directly to the surface of the pad. I'm not going to put a lot on here because I'm working in such a small spot of the car, so I don't need to load it up too much. I want to wipe this off and really reveal a beautiful finish to know that we have the ability to go ahead and polish this whole car out and make it look just awesome. So we're going to go ahead and wipe this down, take a good look at it with our light, keep our fingers crossed. Already, that's just, I think, 4 or 5 passes that I did. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm very happy with how this paint's responding. We're going to work on it a little bit more, and we're going to take it up another level. So I'm pretty happy with how that looks so far. You guys,
what's the good height? So while Rod is continuing to clean the paint up on this thing, I'm going to start installing our pieces from Classic Industries. We've got some new rear tail lights, some fog lights, and of course these xylophones, which I'm going to jump on right now.
All right, so the paint is really coming around, which is great, but that's making everything else look a little dingier. Not a problem, because Classic Industries has set us up with a lot of new trim. Stuff like these taillights. The ones on the car would probably polish out, but they're kind of hazy on the inside too. The new ones are brand new and are going to look fantastic on here. And they even include the rubber trim on the edge, the weather strip. So we're going to get busy putting this stuff on.
We were all shocked at how well the IROC's old paint came back. But like Terry said, the rest of the car was still looking shoddy. So after removing the original cracked and spidered graphics, we hit the Classic Industries catalog again for some new badging that perfectly matched our repop wheels. We then enlisted the help of a local shop to cut some new striping and graphics that really helped us take the Camaro to the next level. We'll have more on that later.
Guys, that looks tremendous. I am falling deeper and deeper in love with this thing. That's not good. That's just not good. All right, dude, so right before we got here, we installed the taillights because the old taillights were all fogged out and the ones you sent us from Classic were just, I mean, they're beautiful, they fit beautifully. But now it's time to install the xylophones.
The xylophones?
Yeah, that's what, so for anybody out there who doesn't know, these are not louvers, these are xylophones. Now I know I'm gonna get crucified for that.
I call them louvers, but xylophones it is.
I'm calling them xylophones. I think people are gonna yell at me, I don't care, that's what I've been calling them since 1987, and I was there in 1987. The nice part about these parts is that they really, the engineering on them works out beautifully. I mean, the old ones pop right off, the new ones pop right in. You get the small screw nuts on the bottom, it takes 2 seconds. Aesthetically, it's a quick upgrade that you can do really, really fast, and it really improves the look of the car. So, all right, let's get those nuts and we'll put these things on. Oh, yep, go ahead. Yep. That's an upgrade on these cars that you can do that took us, I mean, what did it take us, a whole of 3 minutes to do in its entirety?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks good, really improves the overall look of the car, so don't be afraid to like do these little things. They're milled perfectly, they fit beautifully. There you go. Now we're gonna do more stuff.
Yeah, sounds good.
A moment of silence for all the parts that gave their lives for us to get to this point. This is a lot of stuff. You know, it's pretty amazing looking at this, that all of this came out of this car, and the more you look at it, the more you realize how worn everything was. We've got welds on the exhaust that I can see through. The bushings on the control arms were completely shot, as were the ball joints, as were the brakes. And let's not even begin to talk about the rod knock that was ready to go to the moon. It's been an interesting journey with this car. And I think the fact that we updated as well as we did, the way that we did, that we just gave this Camaro behind us another 30 years of life, another 150,000 miles behind it. But now that that's over, it's time to rip the wheels off it.